Board of Finance.
I'd like to call the March 14th special meeting and technology application workshop to order. I'll have a gavel today. I have to say personally, I am absolutely thrilled to be here today for this workshop. I've seen pieces of what we're going to go through today at previous times, and I think that so much of what we're going to see is really the framework of where we're headed in the future. I want to thank Gary, you and your team, Tim, your team for Matt, your team for pulling all of this together, and we're really looking forward to it. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. You know, it's interesting, when we selected this day a month ago, we thought about doing this tomorrow, but we knew March Madness would be going here. The audience would be distracted. So, wouldn't you know, we chose today, and it's 70 degrees out and beautiful. So we apologize for that, but thank you for giving up your time on this beautiful spring-like day. We are very excited to have you here to talk about many of the web-based applications that are supporting our mission here at the Wilton Public Schools, teaching and learning. And I just wanted to take a moment to alert the board that everything you see today is grounded in our strategic plan. Whether it's discussion of our website or Power School and communication around assessment data and grades, the extent to which we use Naviance as a post-high school planning tool, and features such as RTI Studio, which is a data warehousing tool, and Rubicon Atlas, our curriculum mapping tool. All of these applications, again web-based, support the work that is embedded in our strategic plan. And I'm very excited to introduce now Matt Heffer, our Director of Technology, who's going to MC this program. As you know, he's coming off a successful stint as the coordinator of our fifth grader program with the Wilton Education Foundation. So you're well suited for the role. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. Before I begin, I just wanted to acknowledge our technology instructional leaders. We have Brian Ennis, we have Nick Taylor, Tim Lai, and Amy Korn. They're all here to support the work we're doing. And obviously, if any questions come up, they're here to support me for the real hard questions. Also, we have Stephen Doré, former technology instructional leader and current webmaster, so he's here to represent Headline and our website. So we also have administrators and students, and that's probably going to be the most exciting part for you as board members. You'll forget everything I say, but you'll remember the students. We're going to start off talking about Headline. As you know, we launched the redesign of our websites on November 8, 2010. We went through a fairly exhaustive search process with the website committee. And we chose Edline primarily because it syncs with Power School, our student information system, and it syncs that scheduling information and allows teachers to post homework assignments to a student's calendar. And it's a secure site, so you have to log in. I don't know if you can see up there, our presenter right now has logged in, so you're going to see live what a student sees. Our focus in getting Edline was to have consistent websites, electronic posting of homework, the ability to have 21st century online assignments, posting accurate, updated information quickly, so when things change, we don't need to rely on when the webmaster has time. It can be changed very quickly, certain information by anyone who has access and rights to it. And really, it's a wonderful communication tool for teacher to parent and teacher to student. And I'm really not going to say much more because I really want you to see Tyler. So I'm going to introduce Tyler Christensen and Amy Korn. Amy is the instructional leader for technology for the high school, and Tyler is a sophomore. And let them take a look.
Thank you very much. Again, my name is Tyler Christensen. I'm a sophomore here at WHS. And today I'm going to be presenting on Edline and how I use it almost every day to keep track of my assignments and get updates from my teachers. So I've already logged into the account. You can see up there that I've signed in, Tyler Christensen. It's very simple to log in. You have a username and password, and then that immediately brings you to this homepage right here. So on the homepage, you can see we have a mission statement, which is appears on every student's calendar. We also have news updates and quick link section. So I'm going to go through all of these. And the calendar, I'm sorry. The calendar is generic for every student that comes to Bolton High School. So you can see we have the CAP schedule, and if I click on the CAP, it will come up with the day schedule. So it tells me what tests I'm taking today for the CAP and the order of the periods. So then if we go back, we can look at the news that we have. We have important parking updates for the seniors, such as Amanda. We have the Tech Expo, which is coming up. And we also have announcements for parents that can be posted on here. So those are two important parts, but also another important thing that we use is the quick links. The parent portal is at the top. That's what Alex is going to be presenting on. And that allows students and parents to see how their student or how they're doing in grade-wise in school and attendance-wise. We also have the Family Connection powered by Naviance, which is what Amanda is going to be presenting on. And then the WHS apps, which is the email account that Bolton High School students are now using. And then it also includes links to the PTSA site and the athletic calendar. So now, if we go to the top of the page, we have different menus across the top. In the About Us section, we have district information, and similar to the home page, we have the testing and calendars. But we also have the school profile, and the school profile and the contact information and SAT prep stuff. So I use this tab a lot when I'm planning for future events. If you go to the Academics tab, we have the different departments. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Social Studies department, just to give you an example. Here on the Social Studies, if we scroll down a little bit, we have the opening picture and the opening description, which includes the testing days for the Social Studies department. And then there's news for upcoming Social Studies tests below. Constitution Day is coming up, so that's up there. Also, we have links to history resources. I use these when I'm doing preparing links for. I'm in Middle Eastern Studies. That's my area studies class. So I use these links to help me out with my research and such. So I use those all the time. And then it talks about what you can expect in your history class, or sometimes a content syllabus is included in the content section. So that's very useful as far as that's concerned. All right, so if we scroll to the top, we're going to continue with contact information. So this is the staff information and the directions. With the staff information, I can see the emails of my teachers and their extension numbers if I need to utilize those. So those are very useful. So if we scroll down, we can see further we have the administration and then the different teachers with their emails and phone numbers and what departments they teach in. So I've used this multiple times when I'm absent to get in touch with my teachers. All right, so we can go back to the main page. And then we move on to the School Resources tab. This includes a lot of information, such as the GPA calculator, where you can plug in your grades from the parent portal to see what your GPA is. It also includes the student handbook and the program of study, so you can plan your next year out as far as what academic courses you want to take. Also, you can find community links to link to Trackside and different community-sponsored organizations that we have here in Wilton. Then we also have the Chartwells page, where you can see what's cooking down at the cafeteria. And I'm missing one thing. The PTSA. The PTSA is also included. So if your parents or the student wants to see more information about that, they can log in and click on that. So moving on to the guidance section. This is a great way to communicate with your guidance counselor or the guidance department. With the guidance, you have multiple tabs, such as the College and Career Resource Center, which prepares seniors and juniors for their next steps. The library department, that includes the Library Media Center, which also has links to the various databases that Walton High School uses. I'm sure that the middle school also uses similar ones with that. So that's very helpful for research projects, as is the social studies webpage. For activities in athletics, we can see clubs, team information, and the WHS Forum has a link on there, and the WHS Forum is our school newspaper. And then if you go to the schools in the district, you can see what other schools are doing and what the district is doing as well. I'm going to move on to going to my individual classes. If you click on the My Edline page and then you scroll to Combined Calendar, you can see in a calendar form all the events that, or all the events or tests and homework assignments that I have. So this is a
It's a light week, huh?
but and it even has updates for CAFT and different events that are going on for every student. So right here, what we have highlighted is homework. So you can highlight individual things. You can highlight tests, upcoming assignments, field trips, homework assignments. So that's a great tool to help keep organized as well. Now, again, teachers have the ability to post a sign that usually represents their class, such as English is ENG, Social Studies is usually SS, and then you can click on that and you can reveal details about what's going to be going on. So that's really beneficial if you need to find what the assignment is, what problem numbers in a textbook. I use that all the time. Also, they can connect links to it, so if you want to see a link to a certain web page or homework assignment, you can access that too. Now if you scroll up, we can click on the My Edline again, and we can click on my Spanish class, Period 5 Spanish. And you can go into individual classes. So in here, similar to like the individual department websites or pages, we have links, and we also have contents. And the contents include test and quiz subjects, project information, also things such as when we're going to be in the digital lab, which is on the 3rd floor, and the course syllabus and course information. If you scroll down even further, you can see just the calendar for the Spanish. So as Mr. Canty said, it's kind of overwhelming sometimes when you take a first look at the combined calendar. So if you click on the calendar view here, you can just see the Spanish alone for that calendar. So this just takes me through, WLS stands for World Language Spanish, so it takes me through all of the things that I have related to homework and tests in Spanish. So I definitely use that feature a lot, and I think it's beneficial to many students that take these courses. And also, a lot of teachers put on here their personal contact information. So again, that's available at the top of the page, usually in the staff contact area. But also their free periods. So if you need extra help or you have a question about an assignment, you can visit them during those periods. So this teacher happens to be free period 1, 4, and 6. So it's a great tool to find out their availability and also work out things with them. So if you scroll to the top again, we're going to click on the My Edline, and then we're going to click on the Model Congress. So now, Model Congress is a club we have at Walton High School. It's similar to the Students in Politics Club. Now here we have a contents and links page. I know this club uses their links to plan for events such as the Columbia Model Congress. Now these links are available to any student that's in the club. The advisor, Mr. Junaj, just has to add them in, and it'll will appear on their calendar. And also, I don't know if you saw it on the combined calendar, it says when our bills are due, because we're going to be going to a Model Congress session and we have to hand in bills or legislation that we're going to be mock debating. So that also has a calendar view if you scroll to the bottom and you click calendar view. You can see the upcoming events for Model Congress and what bills we're going to be debating. All right, and one more thing, if you go to the My Edline page, or My Edline tab rather, you can click on the class of 2014. And here is the class of 2014. I'm a sophomore, so this appears on my page. And this talks about all the things that the student government is doing for fundraisers and such. We have the soy candle fundraiser, so we had information on that. We had the order forms attached, and that also appeared on the combined calendar of some of the students. So that's one tool that I also use when I want to keep updated with what's going on with my class. And then while you're looking at all these great tabs, you have picture scrolling of Wilton High School students and Wilton High School in general, so you can see your fellow students. And I'm also going to go to the My File Locker. My File Locker is a personal storage locker that you can use, I guess, to if you need to get computer files from one computer at your household to school, or go from school computer to school computer. You can use this feature. I downloaded a file last year for personal finance, which is a class they have here at the high school. So you can download these and then access them from a different computer. So that's very helpful. You can edit and save again with those, and it comes up in the same format that it did on the other computer that you were using. Does anyone have any questions about Edline and the whole Edline, how to use Edline?
Who controls the links? Is that can you control your own links under content, or is that the teacher or the club?
When you go to, well, the advisor or the teacher will update the links, but then you can use whichever ones you would like.
The classes are all tied in through PowerSchool. We pull the information from PowerSchool into Edline, so the classes automatically show up for each of the students.
How many times a day do you access it?
I use it primarily when I'm in free or study hall. I also use it when I'm out doing homework assignments at home too.
So do you access it from one of the school's computers or from a laptop? Or from...
I usually access it from a school computer and then a laptop at home.
Tyler, do all of your teachers put their homework on?
Yes, and it's really a great organization tool to help me stay focused on what I need to get done and when my next tests and quizzes are, because I can see it all on the combined calendar.
It was probably helpful during the week of the blackout when there was no school, or what was it, the Nor'easter, when your teachers, it was like a way for your teachers.
Yeah.
It's that Easter blizzard we're worried about.
Trying
to get to April.
I'm actually glad you brought that up.
See?
Because
glad I brought it up.
That was a great way for me to remind myself what assignments I have due that Monday, because I mean, what was it, a full week? And
oh yeah.
Yes, it was.
And some teachers even posted the notes or the PowerPoint presentation that they used from the past week, so students could refresh themselves on that information. So I downloaded that, and I was able to keep up with my assignments and not forget about what happened during that extra break.
So just to be clear, every one of your homework assignments for every one of your classes is listed here?
Yes.
Two quick questions.
Mm-hmm.
The Model Congress Club that you're part of,
Yes.
it was your club advisor who added you to that link so that it showed up? So it's
Exactly.
the club advisor who adds that link?
Yep. If the
Okay.
club advisor sees that you're interested or you come to the meetings, they can add you to the updates tab.
And how did you highlight on your combined, how do you highlight, remember you said you highlighted just the homework and the combined calendar? How do you do that?
If you go to the combined calendar and then you scroll to the bottom, it says highlight, and then you can click whatever you want. So there's grammar, general information, Columbia Model Congress, which is the event that we're going to for Model Congress. So you can distinguish between assignments that way.
I just wanted to remind the board, I'm sure you're aware of the fact that although you're looking specifically here at the use of the high school website, that you'd have uniformity of use across the K-12,
Right.
the pre-K-12 school system. If you had any questions about how Edline supports work at Miller Driscoll or Cider Mill or Middlebrook, our technology instructional leaders are here. But we felt by putting a high school student up in front, you'd see perhaps the most advanced use to support. Advanced being a word I have to use carefully. But it's actually quite amazing to see how this site supports the teaching and learning environment of our students.
So the parent login is separate from the student login?
Yes, it is.
And does your parent have access to all the information that is on your profile?
I think they have access to similar information on my profile. It also helps keep track of what their student is doing as far as academics are concerned.
By design, they have access to everything that students do. And the administrators see everything that teachers do by default.
Parents can
and-
also combine accounts, so they can see all their students in one.
Do you want to scroll down and see if that field comes up on the calendar? Just scroll down. Well, it's not coming up because he's logged in as a student.
Yeah.
See where it says highlight? When you log in as a parent, there's another field under it where you can switch from, when you're in the calendar, you can actually switch from one child's calendar to another. So if the child at the middle school, you can, without having to go back up to the My Ed line, you can just stay in calendar mode if you want to check homework.
But as of now, we're seeing the same information, the parent and student.
Yeah, yes.
Is that true? That's not necessarily true for Power School, right? Or I'm jumping ahead, I guess.
Yeah, we jump
Okay.
ahead. The only difference is in Power School, student accounts don't allow any changing of email addresses and contact information. Parents can.
Well, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
I have two other questions for you. What do you like best about this, and what would you change if you could?
I'll answer the what I like best question first. What I like best is the combined calendar. I look at one screen, and that tells me my tests, quizzes, homework assignments, and upcoming events. I'm not sure that there's anything I really changed, to be honest with you. I mean, I use every feature of this, and I think it answers all the questions that I have.
Thanks.
Well, Tyler says, I mean, he's fortunate. He's got teachers who keep it up to date, and you find, generally speaking, this year, most of your teachers are using it in homework assignments. I mean, I've run into situations where that's not necessarily the case, so I'm just curious as to where are we with that, with working with the teachers, getting them on board with the whole process.
I would say we're making progress. It was a growth area. You know, when we went into this school year, we said what we're going to do is we're going to have some benchmarks and we're going to try to do better. If you're intermediate, become advanced. You know, if you're a little bit of a beginner, become intermediate. Help each other. There's a clear expectation. These are updated on a regular basis. And, you know, if we hear either through the grapevine or a student report that the information is not updated and accurate, you know, we'll do the right thing. Go directly to the teacher, say, this is what we're hearing. Is there something we should know? And try to encourage the teachers to, you know, for the 25 students in that class, it's the right thing to do, keep it accurate, and what do we need to do to help you?
Is there any policy or guideline with regard to expectations, like when a teacher can post a homework assignment? Like, can a teacher post a homework assignment like on a Saturday and expect it to be done on Monday?
You know, you have to be reasonable. I mean, we don't expect students to be checking it every single. This came up at a PTSA meeting recently. You know, you're not expected to check them regularly on a weekend. I mean, it's not, as Don Shell says, it's not a gotcha thing. It's a proactive effort to be transparent with students, let them all see the information accurately. And you know, I would defer to Tyler, but I think teachers are trying to be fair and just use the tool to really facilitate learning and help the teaching process. You run into that all, Tyler, where you be held accountable?
Not really, actually. I mean, usually my homework assignments are posted by at least 3:30 when I get home from school. So, I mean, it's pretty good in that respect.
And you have the vision. I mean, many teachers post them well in advance. I mean, that Spanish website, I would bet that's updated. And
That's
you
like
have
3
some-
days ahead. So
Right, yeah.
Well, I think every class I've been in, at the end of the class, the teacher often either draws their attention if it's on the whiteboard or just says, tomorrow we're going to be talking about, make sure you read chapter 22, or, you know, that it's pretty explicit in the classes I've been in. I've been in a lot of classes.
Well, exactly. I mean, it also serves as a reminder. If teachers do say you should read an assignment in class, it serves as a reminder on the combined calendar just to do it. So.
We have I'm sorry, I was just going to say we have an ambitious agenda, so if there's one or two more questions, we'd like to move on to the next application.
Yeah, apologies. The one other that I had is, are you going to move towards any set of expectations with the teachers on how frequently they need to update this?
Well, I could speak on behalf of Middlebrook. I know it varies from school to school. Like last year, we set out as our mission that every teacher would post every assignment by the end of the day, Monday, for the whole week. And we've done that for years in protocol for middle school so that our case managers are aware of what's coming up. And we're dealing with adolescents who need more organizational assistance at that age than hopefully by the time they've reached the high school. So that was our mission last year, and we were very successful in doing that. There will be the occasional, like, oh, I forgot to put that in, and I'll do it first thing in the morning. That's going to happen for any application. This year, our goal has been, let's go beyond just homework. Now let's add more content, and let's work on interactive assignments and online quizzes and things like that to bring it up to the next level. So the expectation of homework, that's done. We're there as a school. And each school is working on their own pacing towards a longitudinal plan with the Edline rollout is more like a 5-year type plan. We're in the growth process still, but we're at an adequate level where I think students are benefiting in her.
And our webmasters at each school are really supporting the work, doing enormous work, and working with our teachers to help you.
What were you doing before you came here today, Stephen?
Oh, I ran an impromptu workshop for people on Edline where teachers were working in collaborative groups where not only on their individual class pages, they were creating content on their department pages so that it wasn't each individual teacher inventing the wheel. It was working together, and then we can link from their own pages. So within those workshops, there is quite an extensive variety of ability level within teachers as well, and it's helping bring up those beginners to the intermediate stage and those intermediates to the advanced stage. That we're kind of all in this together. We see progress, definitely. It might not be at the pace that every individual parent may expect, but it's working out pretty well, I think.
Thank you.
Okay. Did I answer everyone's questions? Or?
Good job, Tyler.
Sign out in this corner. Okay, all right.
Our next tool is Naviance. I know that at our workshop there were questions about this, so we're real pleased to have some really terrific presenters today. Naviance actually is the tool we've had the longest. We've had Naviance for 12 years. It was initially purchased by Christine Collins, who's the head of our College and Career Planning Center at the high school. And at the time, we had purchased a couple of college planning products, and what ended up happening is Naviance ended up, their product was so superior that they either bought out everybody else or kind of wiped them out. And really, they are the kind of not the lone wolf, the last.
Soul survivor.
I need a better metaphor. I'm missing.
Last company standing.
They're outstanding in the field. I really don't want to get into too much of it because I don't want to steal our presenter's thunder. So I'm going to introduce Deb Marino, who is the instructional leader for the school counseling department at Wilton High School, and Amanda Kazakowicz, who is a senior, and she's really the star, so I'm going to let them shine.
Thanks, Mike. I just want to give you a little more, just a bit more background on Naviance. As Matt said, this is our 12th year in using it. And it originally is one of our post-high school planning tools, originally designed for us for 11th and 12th graders. However, in the last several years, we have grown and have given freshmen passwords in the first quarter report card for them to have access to Naviance as well. And also, the middle school has recently purchased Naviance as well, which I'll touch upon briefly later on. I think the nice part about Naviance is it compares data to Wilton High School students. And we have our data in from 2006. So when you go on Naviance and students go on Naviance, this is Wilton High School information with Wilton High School students. If you go onto the College Board website, I'm really not sure what data you're getting, where you're getting it from. The other feature of it is that, and Amanda will show you, is that you will be able to have visuals as well. You'll see the scattergram, which you probably may have heard about. Lots of parents talk about it as well. So it gives you the visuals along with the comparisons of Wilton students. You can access it anywhere. There's even rumors now they're going to have a mobile device and a new app for your phones. That's the newest part too. And they're great, as Matt said, they're great at updating their information for us. They've recently added 2 new tabs onto our program, which is Careers in My Planner. And those are in line with the new state mandate from for grades 6 through 12 for student success plans, which look at students academically, looks at their careers, and also looks at them social and emotionally. We, along with every other district in the state of Connecticut, are now trying to figure out how to implement this by July 1st for all of our students. We have all attended workshops, conferences, have shared information with schools, so that's really a work in progress now, and I think the middle school as well as us are doing a great job at kind of spearheading and figuring out the best way to do that for our students. So what I'm going to do is log in. This is the main webpage. What you're seeing is purely demo. It's actually Christine Collins' demo in here. So this is I was going to say Amanda's, it's not yours. This is our sample website. So what Amanda's going to do is walk you through parts of it, and then you and I can just jump back and forth when we need to. So you guide me, because I'll do the computer for you.
Okay. So I'm Amanda, and I was introduced to Naviance sophomore year, and my first experience was my sophomore English teacher had us do a college portfolio. Basically just practicing what it's going to be like junior and senior year when we're taking our next steps. And so she had us use Naviance as a whole tool and set up everything so that it was readily available to us junior and senior year. We had the knowledge, we had a good basis so that we could use it for when we needed it. So we could start with the About Me.
As you'll see on the left side, there are links that students can directly go to. Power Schools there, ACT website, SAT. So I'm going to go to the About Me.
Okay. So there are a lot of tabs on the About Me section, but the tabs that are most helpful that I used, the first one was the game plan. So what the game plan does is it really has students start to think about what they want to do after high school, and it asks you a bunch of questions, and it's really about becoming goal-oriented. What do you see yourself doing? What do you like to do? And then once you answer these questions, you can really start thinking about, okay, so what do I need to do to achieve these goals? Like, what planning do I need if I want to play a soccer in college, for example? So that's how the game plan really sets it up. It has a ton of questions. If you go back to About Me, we could do. The next section is the resume. Okay, so the resume, when I built it sophomore year, I think it's really helpful that now they're giving the Naviance accounts to students as freshmen, because you can, as freshmen, you can start building your resume as a freshman. You'll never forget anything that you've done. And it's really helpful, not just for planning for college, but when you apply to National Honor Society or anything, you need your resume. If you're looking for a summer job, you need your resume. It has leadership, it has education, it has a whole bunch of you could just scroll down or look through there. It has a bunch of different sections, and all your college applications, all like National Honor Society applications ask for this information. And I know that before Naviance, I was like writing it on pieces of paper and losing it. But once it's on Naviance, you're so organized, you'll never forget something that you've done, and it's available for you to just copy and paste into your application. If you go down to test scores, so on the College Board website, you have to go through page after page to find your latest SAT score, your PSAT score, but on the Naviance College or Naviance test score section, it has every test that you've ever taken, PSATs, SATs, ACTs, and it also has, if you scroll up, it has your super score, and before you send your scores through the College Board to a school that you're applying to, you need to, all the applications ask you to list your scores, and so it's really helpful to have them all right next to each other. You can compare them, send your best scores if that's a college that if they accept that. So it's a really nice organizational way to see every score that you.
And that information's being downloaded into this program.
Right, what happens is we get the discs from the College Board and from ACT along with our CAP scores as well. And then it gets downloaded.
So the student
Yeah,
doesn't
the
have
kids
to do
don't
that.
have to do
Okay.
No, the student, and this is a page that certainly they can't change either, so.
Okay.
So then, I know in the career section, they also have a link to personality type. So what the personality type does is it gives you a whole slew of questions about education, your academics, your extracurriculars, all different aspects of your life, what you're interested in. And then it gives you a couple of options, and you select the one that's most like yourself. And then when you're done, it gives you this. And so the part that I found most helpful about the personality is the strengths and blind spots. And so it really tells you like what you do best. And it's mine was very accurate. I know that a lot of my friends have said this is a very accurate interpretation. And the most helpful part is the blind spots, because then once you read this, it's kind of like, so, I mean, Mrs. Collins appears overly confident or arrogant. It's not true at all. Well,
now we all know her a little bit better.
This student appears overly confident or arrogant, and so you just keep that in the back of your mind so you can really work on things and make yourself more appealing to colleges or appealing to whatever you need to do if you have job interviews. You look at your blind spots and it's like, okay, like now I know, I'll just tone down my, I don't know, whenever that was overly confident.
This is very similar to a Myers-Briggs, if you had taken those before, very similar. And there's a counselor side to it as well. So as a counselor, I could go in and I can see this, and they give me a quick snapshot of this information as well. And I do believe this.
Yeah.
There's a questionnaire they take, like a Myers-Briggs?
There is. It gives you two different scenarios, and which one is more similar to yourself.
Mm-hmm. And then you also select fields that you're interested in, and it gives you, if you're interested in architecture, it has a bunch of different areas in that field that you could consider for career options. So it's really good for opening your mind, kind of, if you know you're interested in environmental studies, it has a whole list of things that people could do in that field. And so it just kind of gets you to start thinking about, okay, this is what I'm passionate about, so what can I do when I go to college? Should I look for colleges that have really good environmental studies programs? And it's just good for giving you a lot of options in a bunch of different fields. And learning style, of course, it has your learning style. So it's just like it tells you, okay, you're a visual learner, or this student group, small groups or something. So it just kind of tells you how you learn the best, so you can make sure that if you know how you learn the best, you can make sure you utilize tools that will help you learn in the way that is most helpful to yourself. Okay, now I think we can go to colleges. So those sections were really good for like while you're in high school, for things that you need to do while you're in high school, but the colleges section is essential for juniors and seniors. It uses all the time, and you start off with the colleges I'm thinking about, and that's where you can add schools that you've heard about or you love, or your parents went there, and you add a bunch of schools that you're thinking about, and then it tells you how you need to apply. If it has a CA in the computer screen, that's Common App. East Carolina University is mail only, so you have to get a printed out application. If it's a computer screen that doesn't have a CA, it's also an electronic application, but it's not related to the Common App. So it's a way to stay organized, because if you are applying to schools that are mail only, like sometimes it slips your minds, like did I do this? Did I not do this? And this way you have all your, like, all the schools that you're considering, how you need to apply to those schools. And you can add schools, and so if you're having a conversation with your counselor, they can also add schools that they think, the colleges I'm thinking about, that they think that you might do well at, or they think might be a good match for you. It also has a list of application deadlines, which is so helpful to see exactly when every school you're applying to, right next to each other, when you need to apply to them. And then once you decide on the schools that you're going to apply to, you go to colleges I'm applying to, and you add the schools from there. So you add it to this section, and that's when you know for sure that you are going to apply. And once you get your results, it's updated, and it tells you if your application is complete and submitted. And then this also has the tool on the colleges I'm applying to, teacher recommendations. You can ask a teacher, you can email them from this website right here to write an recommendation for you. And then once they send it, it says requested. And then once they send your letter of recommendation, it's updated to sent. So then everything's right here. You know your application's been submitted and your teacher has sent their recommendation. So all different aspects of your application are complete, and you can see that right there. Because sometimes, I know a lot of schools, if your application isn't complete, they take a long time to update the individual school websites. So you might not know if your transcript wasn't sent, then you might not know until after the deadline, because the school might not have looked yet or updated their website. So here, you know for sure what's been sent.
Just to add a piece into your, the teacher recommendations being able to be uploaded, we went electronic this year, so this is the first time we've done it this way, and teachers and students, I think, have found it much easier than us writing everything out, so that's a new feature. Let me just show you one other piece here, is that in the colleges, in the college search, to get to the school list, there's a college search, and it asks you lots of questions, and there's 4,100 schools that the program begins with, and based on the information that you input into the system, it takes that 4,100 schools and decreases it. At that point, it's not looking at your GPA, it's just looking at the interest and the information you've provided to that.
And this is similar to the Supermatch college search also. And Supermatch, it's essentially the same tool, but it has a few different questions. And then they ask you what location, where do you want to be. If that's important to you, you can say I only want to be in the Northeast. You add that, and the more questions you answer, the more that it has a list of schools that meet all of your requirements, and also it includes your scores, and so it's if you have a good chance of being able to get into that school, it has a percentage next to the schools. It's like a 90% chance that this is a perfect fit for you. So the higher your chances are, the more likely that that's a good school for you. And then once you go to here, my favorite part is if you go to the graph, it brings you to the scattergrams. Okay, so this is scattergrams, but you can access it through the colleges I'm applying to section. And what scattergrams is this is just Wilton students, other Wilton students that have applied to this school, what their average GPA was, what their average SAT scores were, and then those tell you whether they were accepted, waitlisted, denied, and it gives you a really good kind of vision of, am I going to be able to get into this school? It's really accurate, and it's really fun to do also, to see how many kids, where they're accepted. If it has a triangle, then it has this list. They were accepted early action. It has it's every single possibility. It's none are left out. Early decision, and it's just fun to play around with all the schools. Like, where
you can see the circle. There's a circle right here which represents the student, the data we're looking at now. So every screen will be different based on the student's information. So that somewhere in the middle of that, there's a red circle.
Yeah, who does the input for this? I'm sorry.
It's maintained. Christine Collins maintains the data for us.
Did you say it's currently using 2006 data?
2006 forward.
So this scattergram is how accurate?
2006 to 2011.
2011.
Every student that applies to that school within
Okay.
those.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
No names attached to it.
Only for my computer.
Then you can get to that. From there, you can get to the college profile. And what this has is your comparison, how Christine Collins compares to Stonehill College, what they accepted from Wilson High School. So it has the average GPA. If it's red, that means it's a little higher than yours. If it's green, that means you're higher than their average. And then it has this box, which is the application history. Year by year, 9 students applied in 2006. 3 were admitted, none enrolled. But it has this information all laid out for you. And it also has a link to the college website. You can go to the website itself. So it has all the information for every school. It's right here.
Also, you can see over here, sorry, Linda, is that here's our acceptance. So there are 57 students, if I'm reading it correctly, that applied, and only 17 were accepted. So that, as a student and a parent and a counselor, that gives you some significant information. It also allows you to go to overlaps. So if you say, I really like this school, here are schools that they view similar to that, instead of having to go through all books.
It makes everything very realistic. Once you see the other students that are just like you that have applied, it kind of gives you a more realistic approach. So you're not just, it's not a shot in the dark whether you're going to get in or not. You have an idea whether it's a reach school, a target, or a safety for you.
This gives you some more overall data.
So how are we doing on time with this piece?
We're good. I think we're good if there are questions.
Okay. Questions?
Can the system generate an email to you to tell you if a admissions representative is going to be at the college center?
Yeah.
So you get an email for that. Oh, that's great.
Mm-hmm. It has a list on the homepage. When there are more schools, like in the beginning of the year, I remember this whole section was college reps kind of.
Right.
It has all the colleges laid out. So.
But I know a lot of, not most kids, but some kids don't check the website every day. So now it's not necessary for the student to do that. They can just get the email.
Right.
Great.
How does the process work for you to be educated on Naviance, everything that's in it, and to assist you in starting to build out your game plan and your personality type and your resume and all this stuff?
Well, I had that was all part of my assignment sophomore year when my English teacher was having us do our college portfolio. She had us use every feature. And also, just by talking to my guidance counselor, I started visiting her sophomore year to talk about colleges, and she goes through this too. If you have any questions, I know all the guidance counselors are really good at this, so they help you with that.
You don't seem arrogant at all.
That wasn't her profile.
What do you like best about the system?
Definitely the college section. I liked all of the colleges. I liked the compare and the scattergrams. I just thought it was so much fun. It made looking at colleges a little more entertaining, I guess.
Is there anything to change if you could?
I don't know. I love Naviance. I use it all the time, and I don't think I would change it.
So this is, I should probably know the answer, but so Naviance is for the students, or is it something that parents and
It's
doing as well?
a student login and a student password.
Right.
It's really the student's account.
So the parents don't have anything to do with it?
Well, they do. Many parents use it. If your student will share the password with you.
Okay.
Absolutely. Some do and some don't.
And they do.
That would help with college practice.
Yes, give me your password.
The other nice feature about Naviance is that I, as a counselor, can go in and I can do a mass email to all my students saying, FYI, please remember to come see me for post-high school planning. So I can access them all.
So who does have access to the individual student accounts? The guidance counselor, and the guidance counselor has full access to everything. So
Yes.
like even the personality, like
Yes.
you said, the personality.
Yes. And teachers, because they went
Teachers
on
too.
through eDocs, only have access to upload their recommendation, and I cannot view their recommendation.
But they don't have access to any of the other information,
Not yet.
test scores or anything like that.
Now, Debbie mentioned earlier that the recent state mandate, as it relates to student success plans, will require us, we can debate whether it's going to be a useful enterprise to develop these plans, and we've made the deliberate choice to use Naviance to support that work. So in fact, as early as 6th grade now, students will begin to use this tool and to start building their portfolio, if you will, around goals and reflective work, etc. I just wanted to acknowledge the work of Jory Higgins at Middlebrook, along with Julia, in coordinating the middle school response to this effort. And as Debbie mentioned, we're still very much up in the air, not only the what, but the how to implement this work. So we'll have to update the board in the coming year on how that's going. But it's interesting that Naviance has been very responsive in adding features to the product that will allow us to be responsive to the Student Success Plan initiative.
And I'd just like to thank Debbie for her assistance. When we first heard about this, Debbie was at Middlebrook, and she showed me the screen, and she holds our hands through things as we get nervous and gives us good advice. And we have a new presenter. We've already invited her down.
How about Amanda? Pretty incredible.
The next tool we're going to present I know that I have spoken during my tech reports a number of times about our progress with this tool is PowerSchool. We'll introduce PowerSchool, which is our current student information system, in January of 2008. We were sort of forced into that because the company we were using, SAS, before had reached its end of life. In 2008, 2009, the following year, teachers started piloting the online grading system. That was piloted primarily at the high school, but some middle school teachers also started. In 2009-10, the high school opened up Parent Portal for attendance, and in the following year, teachers went live with their gradebooks. This year, Middlebrook has also gone live with the gradebooks. And so you've seen we've made sort of a progression through, and I think we made a wise choice in giving teachers time to get used to the electronic gradebook and understanding about timely posting of grades and our expectations around them. The portal is now open for all parents in grades 6 through 12 for attendance and grades. And really the focus for PowerSchool is to provide accurate and timely grading information to parents and students, to provide accurate and timely attendance information. It's also a tool that we use for parents to be able to communicate about their child's progress and really foster better communication, sometimes really between parent and child, because that's where the real meaningful discussion happens, is parent to child. Then they reach out to the school. And I'm really pleased to introduce Amy Korn again, who will be working with Alex Bendix, who is also a sophomore at the high school, and they'll be showing you how a student uses PowerSchool.
All right, hello, I'm Alex Bendix. I'm a sophomore in high school at Tyler. PowerSchool is a little more, it's a little bit more confidential, obviously, so we're not going to use a live account. This is actually, we've taken a student and blocked out all the information so you don't know who the student is. And then I'm going to go through this kid's information and just show you how to use PowerSchool as if it were my own, how I would look through it, and just all the features, because there really is a lot to look at there. So right here is, this is the URL at the top. And then this is the opening screen you get to in PowerSchool. Here you enter in your username. If I were a student, I'd have one different from, say, my mom's. And then you just enter your password and you sign in.
Hi, Mom.
So this is... My mom over there, she's great. So when you first log in, this is the screen that you would first see. It has all the blocked out right here is the teacher, obviously, so you can't. I guess if someone were sleuthing here and wanting to. So this is just the skeleton. So concentrated right here, you've got all the tabs: attendance history, email notifications, teacher comments, so forth. And then by period, each of the classes with the attendance for the prior week, the current week, and then grades, and then cumulative absence and tardies. You can see that at the bottom. Something really important with the attendance, it might be a little misleading. You can look at the attendance totals. For this student, it says 15 absences, but that's not always the case. It could be that you could have 15 absences, but none of those, or not all of those count as much as a real absence. Well, we have what is called unexcused absences, which is, say, someone, it could be either someone skips a class, but usually most of the time when someone gets an unexcused absence is that they, he or she went to the doctor and forgot to send a note in or something like that, or missed school and then didn't call in yet. So for the time being, say I were to go home sick, the rest of my teachers would look at my, say, well, Alex is not in school today, he's not in my class right now, I'm going to give him my excused absence. However, the attendance office will later go back and get a phone call from my mom saying Alex went home sick. So it'll go in and change from an unexcused absence. I'm not sure if there's one here. I can't see one here. But it'll go from an A, I believe it's AU, absent unexcused, and that'll change to an MD for medical. So there are a lot of different keys right here. So it may say absent. That's really important. So for your children, if you see a lot of absent unexcused, say 8 in one day or 7 in one day, that is not that probably not the case. It'll be changed to a medical if that student has a doctor's appointment recently or in-home illness. Also very big is also very important is right here TE. That's tardy excused. That's right, tardy excused. So say someone comes to class and they're not, or the person is not in class, and the teacher marks them as tardy unexcused, or marks them as absent unexcused. If he or she comes in, say 10 minutes in with a pass, the teacher can then go into the grade book and change from absent unexcused. The person came to class with a pass. He or she is now excused. So it goes from an absent unexcused to a tardy excused. So really important with attendance is that not everything is set in stone. There can be a lot of fluctuation, there can be a lot of change. Something that might look so bad as an absent unexcused can very easily, with some explanation and some reasoning for this absence, can be changed from an absent unexcused to a tardy excused, a medical, all-day illness. So concentrated here, you can see that, say for the student's analysis, you can see all the absences that he or she has. So tardy excused, present, all-day illness, medical. You're not always going to see that teachers mark present every single day, because a lot of times teachers can just look through the class. Most teachers know their classes pretty well and can see who's not there. And then instead of marking every single student every single day present, the teachers are likely going to just mark who is not there instead of everyone who is there. So like you can see a P. Oftentimes a substitute teacher will mark P for everyone, because obviously he or she does not know the class as well, so he or she is going to mark everyone in the class as present or absent. So oftentimes one of the real only times you're going to see present is if a substitute teacher is doing it. Most of the time what you're going to see on these the attendance history are tardy excused, absence unexcused, medical, and the only time you're really going to see a present, the substitute teacher had to use it. It was not did not know the class as well, and so had to make sure that everyone was here manually instead of surveying the class saying who's not here. So then, this is for email notification. This is also a really great feature. You can see right here that we've highlighted some of the options that you have. So, say for email notifications here, it said what information would you like to receive? Well, right now we have it so that you're receiving a summary of current grades and attendance, detailed reports, and then detailed reports of attendance. So, say we click the option once a week. Now that, say I did that for my mom. My mom changed that and clicked, she said once a week. That means once a week she's going to receive all three of these things, all three of the options that she's picked, and she's going to receive an email with a summary of that once per week. However, if she wants to check up on me more often, she's not maybe doing it well or something like that, she could go to daily, and then if she feels I've done better, go to once a week, then once every 2 weeks, or once a month. So there's really a lot of options. You can see if a student maybe has attendance issues, you can get only attendance. If a student has grade issues but doesn't have attendance issues, you can get one or the other, or all three. And then you can see how often you want to get them, either every day or as I can't think of the word, but as little as once a month. So then the next one you go into is teacher comments. Now right here there aren't really any comments because teachers don't always fill them in. So right here there are no comments, but come report card time and come around maybe towards the end of the quarter, end of the semester, teachers can add in comments and give a report on how the student is doing, maybe a message to the parent, or something of that nature. And this is actually also a very great feature. I believe this is the first year we're doing registration. Second year we're doing registration online. So this makes it really, really very convenient because you can register for your courses online. All you need to do is print out this summary. It gives the recommendations from your teacher. Say for the student was recommended for African Studies. So the student logs in, sees that his or her teacher has recommended African Studies, and then they just click. He or she just clicks that, and then she just print out the entire course list, bring it to your guidance counselor, have your guidance counselor approve it, look it over, make sure that everything is appropriate for that student, and then sign it off. And that's really all we need to do for registration. That takes care of most of it. So that makes it really easy because we can cover most of the stuff online. Really lessen the workload because we can get it done online, and the students can do a lot of. The student with their parents can get a lot done. So yeah, you can just see that there's also for type, you can see that there's required courses and then elective courses. So for the student, that could be either taking two languages or taking 2 languages. Languages aren't necessarily required for graduation, I believe. Is that true? So languages aren't necessarily, 4 languages aren't required for graduation, so that's considered an elective.
But 91% of our students take 4 years.
Yeah, most people take languages, even though it's not required. Go with them. So yeah, this just has the course, whether it's required or it's an elective, and then the course hours, and then there are also prerequisites. I believe that's how you say that word. Yeah. And then this is back to the homepage just so I can point out where we're going to go next. This is again the summary with the grades and then the attendance for that week. And then you can go to grade history, I'm sorry, that's the one we're going to next. If you click on the grade, say it says under, this is Spanish 5 honors. You go to that grade and it goes to quarter 3. You can click on A98. You click on that and it brings you to this. This is a grade summary of how that 98 come to be, how everything combines to create that grade. So you have different categories for everything. So the student can say the student has 100% on homework, but then has a 50% on a test. Obviously, the test is going to be weighted much more. So the student can see how all the grades are factoring in. It could be 10 A's, but then that 1 F on a test is obviously going to be much different. So it has the categories that stipulate how each grade is weighted. So you have homework, quizzes, quiz. I believe this is use of Spanish and conduct. So there are different codes that each teacher can use for his or her grade. And then at the end, there's the letter grade accompanied with the percent, and then the raw score. And also a very big, just jump over here. Sometimes, Mr. Mark, you go back. Thank you. Say there's a link. I believe it's under the score. If it's a blue link, you can click on that. That means that the teacher has given a note with that grade. So you can click on that grade, and then it'll say it's a 0 out of 100. It's a test. Well, obviously that student's going to have like a failing grade or something. That'd be really bad. But then you can click on that and see it says student was absent the day of test, needs to make it up. So suddenly that F, making parent freaking out, goes from my student hasn't failed the test, he just needs to go in and make it up. So a lot of teachers really use that to make sure that parents are calm down a little and make sure that their students.
Before you leave this page, as a parent of 2 high school boys, this page has been a good thing and a bad thing because of the. Chris was saying she didn't even know this existed. I'm like, where have you been?
I didn't know you could drill down. I didn't know you could drill down.
It's been a good thing and a bad thing. I mean, in a good way, you know what's going on, and you can see where they're struggling. The bad thing is that I can see their progress almost on a day-to-day basis, and sometimes you have off days or homework that wasn't quite completed. But in the big scheme of things, they still end up with a decent grade at the end of the quarter, which I would have been happier just knowing that at the end. So I had to...
Do that in 2 weeks with your...
I know, I'm trying to turn the helicopter off. I've absolutely had to pull myself off of this because it can become very addictive for somebody, a control freak like me. But on the other hand, I will say it's similar to the Edline. Is I know that, see the codes at the bottom there, like a teacher who can mark something as collected, but it could show up as that I've got it, but I didn't score it yet. And what's frustrating to me are the teachers who, and this happens quite often, who don't use those codes as they're intended. Instead, they'll go in as an F. Like, for example, we brought up my son's biology class, and Jason, I'm sorry, kill me if I was telling you this. You scroll down and you see...
for the camera.
You'll see A, 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 F, 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 A. Here's a straight A kid, but he's got these F's showing up, and it's because his teacher is choosing to hold the place with a 0 versus saying it's a collected item that just hasn't been marked yet. And that's just...
Well, but teachers do it consistently, so it's like...
well, I've learned, so,
okay.
But of course the first time you see it, you panic. Like, what is this? What do you mean? So I've learned that there's, a couple teachers that's how they're using the system, but this kind of feedback, I guess.
A couple comments. We've said right from the start, look for patterns with student performance. And, when you invoke these programs initially and you bring them in, there's this conception, I know students have this, I've seen this with different scenarios, you think about a negative aspect to it. But this can really spurn positive conversation about performance and positive reinforcement, which is really important. And I think you're right. I mean, this is a growth area too, but our teachers are really progressing on the finer nuances of the program, keeping up with the grades. We have a pretty clear expectation that within a week these things are graded and updated, that you're looking for long-term trends. And once again, we have experts in all the departments, and I would use the term experts. And we have trainers who are training teachers to move them along. I think it's really been a good program with Matt's leadership and Amy's for our students and our families, and we're going to keep progressing.
But what would be your advice to a parent like myself when, like I said, I can identify? I mean, me as a parent, I know that teacher, X, probably needs still some assistance in getting up to speed on that. I mean, should I be bringing that to somebody's attention, or should I just relax and chillax about it, right? And just know that, now I know that teacher's pattern and I know what to expect.
Yeah, we get...
I don't want to tattletale.
We get nudges from families. We look for patterns and try to address it, once again, proactively. I mean, it's about really building capacity with teachers, and some are less adept with technology, just at a platform level, and you have to build their skills a little bit. Most teachers, what I want to see is they're open-minded to learning and getting better. And I think we're moving along.
You mentioned that there's an expectation that grades are going to be updated within a week. I would imagine that I'm sorry?
It's 10 days.
Okay, within 10 days, I'm sorry. So with that expectation that they're going to be updated within 10 days, I would anticipate, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we're on a journey towards that, and we're not 100% to that at this point, but we're moving in that direction.
I think that's accurate, and also, we've been very clear that depending on the subject and the discipline, there are longer-term projects in art. Many of our mathematics and world language teachers are very much more on top of this. Social studies may be longer-term projects. So it does vary. There's great variance, but you should be within a we've always said right away 7 to 8, 10 days right in there that it's accurate when you look at it, and if it's. I have found that if teachers are falling behind, we tend to find out and work with them. That's an accurate statement.
It makes sense, because just in general life, the closer the feedback to the activity, the better.
Mm-hmm. And with the absences, like Alex was saying, sometimes it goes in an excuse. Who goes back and corrects that? Is it the attendance office? Or is it the office? Okay. So we just go back in as teachers to see if the absence is excused, and that may be a case like you were talking about with your son, that if he was out, it may still appear and there's a 0 until you called in and excused it. because a lot of people won't change that grade until it's been excused.
We try to simplify it for teachers. Mark the student absent. If the student absent, the interpretation is to follow. And Alex says, I mean, sometimes I may change it to a TE, a TU to a TE, but other than that, the teachers aren't changing it. The attendance offices, and you know, they've been keeping up with that. And that's critical, because when we go to crunch data at the end of the quarter for credit loss, et cetera, you know, we try to have it be, you know, rock solid when we run our reports in PowerSchool. Because we use this program to run a lot of reports. You know, honor roll reports, credit loss reports. Those are features of this program that you might not normally either be aware of or use, but they're helpful.
Is it safe to assume that it's most helpful to you to have parents call in early on absences as opposed to the end of the day, because then that enables your system to run efficiently? And when somebody calls in late, it kind of, there's a snowball effect.
Certainly, as soon as you can.
Well, we're right on schedule. I want to thank Alex for his presentation.
All right, that's fine.
Are we not quite there? I'm sorry.
I think we might have side.
Well, we need to make sure we finish.
Okay, well, not really much left. Just one thing that I was mentioning. Oh, no problem. One thing that I was mentioning for was reading. That's really important, because like I was saying, one homework, a student might see 100 and a like an A and a C and say, oh, well, why don't I have a B? Well, if that C's a test and that A is a homework, there's probably going to be a little bit of a difference there. So like here for this class, conduct is given a 5% weight, homework a 15%, quiz and then written speaking 30%, and so on and so forth. So you can really see a lot of students are really confused as to how their grade comes to be, and how their grade comes to be, say, an 89 versus, say, a 99 or something like that. They might be a little confused, say, see, I got a lot of homework grades, got a lot of hundreds there. This is really, really great. Like, I know that when I'm looking at a grade, I want to see how my grade is factored, what I need to work on, what I need to fix. Say I have an 89, I want to get that 89 up to a 90, and I see that I'm not doing very well, or I'm doing pretty well in conduct, but I need to improve my quizzes, and I see that quizzes are weighted very highly, or weighted a great deal. Quizzes are 30%, so that means I need to work on my quizzes and work on my written speaking so I can get that up because it's got the most weight. So it's really great for students to see where they need to improve and how they can get there. Like Amanda was mentioning with like goals and stuff like that, this really does help with goals, getting students to realize where their weaknesses are and how they can achieve that goal. I think we have one more slide. Oh, also this is a really great feature that I only learned about this year. It's really cool to see that this obviously this 2011-2012 school year, you can see past grades up until, for me it goes back to the 6th grade, I'm pretty sure it's the same for everyone. So for this student you can see right here, this is their his or her 2010-2011 grades. So you can see algebra, freshman English, and then so if you want to go back and you want to look at, say you want to see a pattern and see, well, how am I doing freshman year versus sophomore year? This student could look back and say, oh, well, I got a few B's sophomore year, but then I look back, I had a few A's freshman year, 2010, 2011. I might need to step things up a little. And then also you can see, I got an arrow pointing right there to 2009, 2010. Yeah, this is freshman right here, so that student would be 8th grade in 2009, 2010. He or she can go back and see what his or her grades were in 8th grade, how they did in Middlebrook. So that's also really great for parents to look back and see how my student was doing. Is this a pattern? Was he or she a great student in Middlebrook, but now suddenly a bad student in high school, or vice versa? So the standards are the grade history feature. You can go look over there on the left side of the navigation, the second one down. Grade history is really great for assessing patterns and seeing how a student is doing in terms of his or her overall performance. So whether it's going up or going down, a teacher or a parent can really look at this and see whether there's a pattern, whether they're suddenly this C in, say, a math class is something that's been going on for years, or whether it's something new. So that's one of a really great feature that I think PowerSchool does that really helps me to see, like how I've done in the past, what subjects I might need to work on, and things of that nature. And with that, I think we're done now.
Well, it's been interesting to look at these 3 web-based applications and get a strong sense of how, whether it's from a student's perspective or from a teacher's perspective, an administrator's perspective, or a family's perspective, how you can really stay on top in a real-time way of student academic progress and so on and so forth. Really been helpful. And I know you're probably extremely excited about being in this workshop, but I discovered that you are very busy based on what I've seen here. So I just wanted to acknowledge again Amanda Tyler and Alex's role today in our workshop, and you're free to go so you can go do your homework.
You mean we're not giving a pass on homework for doing this?
And now, Matt, we're going to move on.